Welcome back to the Gold Room, where we're taking our mining service providers and mining suppliers from the mic out to the mine. Today we have Brenden Taylor from Cunderline Resources. Brenden, thank you very much for coming in and spending some time with us, mate.
Yep, no worries.
We've also welcoming back the big man himself, Mick Little. Thanks very much, Mick. Thanks for coming back,
No
mate.
worries.
Excited?
Glad to be here.
Another one?
Mate.
Under your belt?
Love it. Love it.
Beautiful. Mate, Brenden, look, first up, tell us a bit about your story, mate. Tell us who you are, where you came from. Give us a rundown.
No worries. Well, I come from a remote community called Gimprinya community. It's about 30 kilometres north of Port Hedland on the Broome Road, Broome to Port Hedland Road. I've grown up there basically my whole life, coming up and down to Perth with my dad. That's pretty much.
Yeah? So you got any kids?
I got kids. So I got 3 siblings. I got 2 brothers, 1 sister. I'm the eldest.
Okay.
I got mum and dad. Now I've got family of my own. I've got four children. I've got 2 girls, 2 boys. One of the boys just graduated school, so pretty wrapped with that. And I got me 2 daughters, 8 and 7, and I got the young bloke who was unexpected. He's just turned 2, so
awesome, far out, huge age group.
So it's a bit of an age group there. So
work it,
mate.
What inspired you to start Cunderline Resources?
What inspired me to start it was my dad. Being the first generation, he was like the pioneer of Indigenous contracting in the beginning. Mick could agree to that.
Your dad very well.
So that sort of inspired me over the years, obviously him growing up, obviously in Port Hedland, that's where all the, economic of Western Australia runs out of. Back in the day, there was no opportunity for Aboriginals within the mining. So there was a government cell called ATSIC, where my dad, he was the chairman of, where they helped with the government to help get jobs for Indigenous kids into the mining, and that just happened to be my generation coming in. So BHP offered apprenticeships, traineeships, so that generation of mine, last generation, we ended up doing year 11, was a cycle at Port Hedland. You either become a boilermaker or a fitter.
Yep. What about a Sparky, mate?
And Sparkies, Sorry, I forgot them.
I think most of us are colourblind then, weren't we?
So basically I took the fitters apprenticeship. I don't know if you remember HBI, Hot Brigaded Iron.
I don't.
Back in the day, where BHP, they cooked all the bricks, cooked the iron ore. They had a
foundry.
So they had that up in Hedland. That no longer exists. I think 2005, when I finished my apprenticeship, they got shut down due to the deaths that they had on site. So
True.
So it was good. 2001, straight out of school, year 11. Started my apprenticeship. HBI, became a fitter. In 2005, ended up graduating, I was a tradesman by the time I was 21, which was good. And just went on to work contracting for a few years, and then obviously while I was doing that, my dad was in the background. He started one of the biggest contractors in Australia, Indigenous contractors, called Ngata Civil and Mining. Obviously back in that generation, there was they had to, because they were getting new, they had to partner up. So they partnered up with a company called Henry Walker Elton, which you're probably all aware of. So that's how that started about, the partnership. Terms today we recall to black cladding, but that was never a word back then because it was the first starting out in mining. So just watching over the years and learning. I eventually got in the business about 2010, went into business with my dad with 4BCM. That was our new company. So me being in the mining all them years, that's where I brought that mining experience on how it all works and everything on site. With Dad coming from obviously a government background and being the first pioneer of the Indigenous mining sort of we gelled together, right, this is what we need to do. But it didn't click until later on, where unfortunately, as the years went on, it's like, well, why are we partnering with these non-Indigenous businesses? We could do this ourselves, because, and then it was funny because that era from back then to now has totally changed the dynamics in Aboriginal affairs on how we do things and where we do it now. So I thought 2016, I didn't have much knowledge about business. I just thought, just from my experiences with my dad over the years and watching him get burnt by non-Indigenous businesses. So I thought, I'm going to come in, I'm going to make a change here.
Yep.
And so 2016, I started Cunderline Resources. Cunderline Resources was born, and and then started off as a labour hire business. And obviously, anyone can agree with me how hard it is trying to do labour hire. Like, you want to punish someone, get them to do that. It's hard yakka. Yep. Plus, with all my contacts over the years with mining, I had a lot of contacts, but obviously being a labour hire business, you can only you only got them for certain 3 to 6 months, and then they got to move on either to full time. And at that time, all my clients were all the tier 1 contractors, either NRW, Macca, Tees. So they were taking them off me as quick as I can recruit them, Yeah. So 2019, I thought, by 2018, 19, I thought, nah, and everyone was saying, well, why don't you become a contractor? And then I was sort of hesitant because watching what happened to Dad over the years, getting effed over. So all them times, so I thought,
you can swear, mate.
Yeah, can I?
Fine.
We're
in a safe place right now.
Yeah, all right.
We're in a safe place.
Basically getting fucked over.
Yep.
So I had a really good think about it during 2018, and everyone that was coming through my books was saying, if you start a business, we'll come back work for you. So I thought, all right, and then I sat there like endless nights with a whiteboard, sitting there thinking, fuck it, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to have any partners, and I'm going to do this all by myself. So there's a million ways I went on how I was going to do it, and then obviously getting advice from some of my mentors. And then I thought, well, 2019, all right, I walked into FMG, and, FMG, out of all the mining companies, they're the ones who's given everyone a chance, their first chance. You ask any, like Pilbara, I don't know, down here, but FMG's given the first chance for all the Indigenous contracting, Awesome. So hat down to them. So I went to them and I said, look, obviously they were aware that we were doing all this labour hire, and I said, look, I'm going to have a crack contracting. Can you give me a scope of works, or is there a possibility? First thing they said, well, who's your partner? Because that's how it was back then. Who's your partner? I said, well, look, I'm here to break the cycle.
Oh, mate, awesome.
And I'm here to break the cycle, and I don't have any partners. I'm going to do it myself. And they said, all right, well, what's your stability like? What's your who you got working for you? So I already had all that ready of project managers, supervisors that I already had. So I sent in a package. They wanted resumes, they wanted all this, and I said, and then that was fair enough. So, and then we finally got our first opportunity doing 30 kilometres of road. So I started off with about 10 guys, 2 supervisors, and a PM. And now, one of our family friends who's been working with us, I worked for Dad for the 20 years prior to that, and then now he's with me. Now he's just retiring this year, so he's been with me from the beginning, Alex. So he project managed that job, and I don't know, it was meant to be because we aced that job, that 30 kilometres of road at FMG, and that was through Macca, a tier 1 contractor. And then we aced that job, and then after that, they wanted to give us more work. But obviously working with tier 1 contractors, they're getting screwed by the client, and then they're going to screw you, So, So I went back to them and I said, look, we've done this job good. our native title agreements with you, FMG, not with Macca. Can we get a contract directly through you guys? And they were that impressed by how I conducted that, and then they gave me first opportunity building a 170-kilometre road, which I take my hat down to them, Ballline Road from West Canning Basin to Ironbridge. And
wow, awesome.
So we built that road, or Ballline Road. Now we're back there doing the 5-year maintenance. I think we're about the 3rd year into it now. And plus we do all their maintenance, road maintenance around on site. So I hat down to FMG, like they've given me our first opportunity, plus all our other small civil jobs that we've done. Like originally we're a civil earthworks business, that's our core business, but we've sort of stepped into that long-term rehabilitation work. So after New Year, we're going to be getting awarded the first 100% Indigenous business to work at that asset project's Tier 1 level. So, so that's going to be a big milestone. Yeah, no,
wow,
absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so and I still own 100%.
Yeah. That's going into our next question, then, mate. Being 100% Indigenous business, what does that mean to you, and what does it mean to the other people out there in the community that you work with?
Well, it means a lot. I just wanted to prove that to other Indigenous people that you can do it by yourself, and you don't need a JV partner to rip you off and tell you how to conduct your business, Yeah. So I did this for me as well, and not only for me, but just to show other Indigenous businesses. Because over the years, just watching them all get ripped off, Yes, you're 51% majority shareholder of the JV, but it's just grab a black fella off the street and you've got a JV, With all these big businesses that are 49%, so black fellas think they're going to get 51 and 51% of everything, but by the time the management fees
everything
come
comes
out,
out.
because they've got everything comes out, they're left with nothing, except a 80 series ute or a paper bag with a bit of money in it, So
and being 100% Indigenous owned, how do you find? Do you see yourself as a role model for other businesses coming through? Like, do you get a lot of those other, 50% or 51% businesses coming up to you and saying, "How can we get to where you are?"
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my advice all the time is give it a crack, have a go yourself. So but it is it's I love that we can, but not everyone can do it. So wherever I can help and support, wherever I can, I do, So because I've got a lot of people coming to me thinking, what do you reckon about this? What do you think about that, So we've got a team. I've got about 120 people working for me now. Got about 25 people in my office. And that's the services that we're going to help offer. Because what we've done and previously is out in the desert, Leinster and Wiluna and all that, that's my mum's side. So what their native title group, they get like economic development money. So what we do is that we get them to buy their cars, light vehicles. We hire their light vehicles. We help them, do all the invoicing for them, get them in the office, show them how to invoice, how the money comes in and out, and ingoings, outgoings. So that's sort of training we're starting to provide for people, just to get a better of an understanding about business,
That's good.
Instead of just jumping straight into bed and getting into a JV that you just get your pants taken off you,
Yeah, give them some understanding so they can move on.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got about 6 providers that we use, and subby, that we help Indigenous businesses, helping them grow. Yeah, so and the easiest one to learn would be probably plant hire. So just,
that's awesome.
That's a good message.
Yeah,
that's a great message. Mate, what could you share a bit more about Cunderline Resources' vision for Indigenous communities? And how do you see this impact within the communities that you work with? How are they getting involved?
All right, well, just what I spoke about, within, like, that's why I want to build Cunderline Resources to how it is now, like we just spoke about, to help other Indigenous people and other Indigenous businesses. Yep. within the mining resource sector to help give them more of a better understanding on business and mining and construction, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely need more people like you in the industry.
Yeah.
For sure. And also, you know, a lot of your company's built on core values like integrity, excellence, safety, and courage.
Yep.
How does this, how do these values play out in your day-to-day, operations and decision makings?
So how I see it, the main thing with a business is culture, you know. Like at Cunderline, I've tried to maintain and build the best culture possible, you know. Yes, we're an Indigenous business, but we're also stepping into that Tier 1 status. But, you know, I think a lot of the message gets sent probably the wrong way, advertising and all that, like we're 100% owned an Indigenous business. But how, even if you've seen it on the video, I like to think, so like a more of a multicultural business for everyone. So that's sort of, so when we advertise, yes, we're a 100% Indigenous-owned business, but we accept, anyone. So that's why we don't mention that. We like, if you're, we don't care who you are, what you are.
That's what I noticed about your YouTube video. Showcasing your business is that, there were people from, I actually mentioned to Mick the other day, and when we sat down together, that there were some Kiwis there, some Australians, and I think there
Arabs,
might have been an Italian and a couple of Irish.
Yes,
so that's awesome.
So that's how we want to maintain our culture, and we just want to, it's for everyone,
And I think the positive things about that, it's not just about our culture, it's about learning about everybody else's culture and how everybody else works.
Absolutely.
And how do we get along together to get the job done.
Looking back at Cunderline's Resources journey since 2016, what's some of the highlights, mate? And what do you think, what's some pivotal parts that's really shaped your business?
Mate, we done yesterday how much we've grown from where our dollar value was from 2016 to now is just unbelievable. And it's like, even I'm struggling with the story yesterday. It's like, how the hell did we get to where we are now, or where we were then to where we are now? It's mind blowing. It hasn't sunk in yet to me. So some of the pivotal moments is like winning all this pivotal moments was just battling it out, and
no one sees those moments.
I know. Yeah.
No one sees the sleepless nights, the extremely long hours, the drive and the dedication that it takes to get to work.
Wondering if you're going to cover payroll this week. All that stuff, wages. Paying all your suppliers. It's just and it still is a constant battle. Yep. It's always a constant battle. So.
Yep.
Hopefully one day we'll get there where I don't have to stress as much. So,
I don't think so. I think like if you're in business and you're continually driving forward, if you always want to seek and see change, there's always going to be that stress factor. And I think it's the caliber of a person that can handle that and that can continue moving forward. That's what I think drives an individual.
It's been like a roller coaster ride, going. From 2016, turning over 250,000 now to being a $30 million company as of last year, and like the forecast that we've got is it's unbelievable because we're going to be hopefully NRW or a Macca in the next year or so.
Mate, that's awesome.
So,
well done.
Yeah. So
I mean. And you've already touched on it, but, what sets you apart in the industry compared to, and the way Cunderline does things? What's two other companies that are out there at the moment?
Well, the best thing, we own and operate, So not only do we own the business, we actually run the business, So I've stepped back into the CEO role, so my phone never dies and I never sleep, but it's better like that because my suggestion to other business owners is get as much involved as you can, and because you don't know it, but you should know your business off the back of your hand, and know what's going on,
Yep.
Like you don't want to micromanage, but you want to be there.
Exactly.
every step of the way, you know. So
And that's why you employ other people to.
and that's why you know, and you got to put trust in the people that you employ. You know, some you get burnt, some are good, but at least you are sitting over top and know what's
And you're
going
always
on.
learning.
You're always learning as you go. Like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I've just learnt as I.
Yep.
It's been a roller coaster ride, but I'm still learning, and you know,
Every
some
time
good
you're
role
learning,
models
you're growing.
every
That's what
yeah,
I think.
exactly, yeah. So,
And it's some good role models.
absolutely,
leading
and
up to you, your old man
yeah.
Your estimator now.
Yeah, Al. You know, so it's I was just fortunate to have good role models in my life. You know, so
Yep.
and that's what I want to be for people that didn't have that opportunity. You know, so that's why I said to any other Indigenous business, if you need a hand, let me know.
Yeah, that's
and I'll
fantastic.
do my best. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, Mick's very much the same. You know, the conversations that him and I have had, he's very hands-on.
Yeah.
Got that community feel.
Yeah, well,
and
that's it, you know.
So important.
Help anyone, you know. People that need help, you know. You
Exactly.
provide that support, whether
At the end of the day,
whether you like them or not. But,
exactly,
You know,
yeah.
you're there to support everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think you do a great job in that,
Yeah.
and your father as well.
Yeah.
Mate, how does your connection with the traditional landowners up on at different areas, different sites that you're working on, how does that influence the way that you run your business?
Well, it's good because not only am I big on the white non-Indigenous side, I'm also big in our law and culture side as well. Where I do when we go up, we do all our law. We just initiate all our young blokes into manhood and that, and because Dad's the elder now, with all our other old people gone, and with our side of our skin group, I run that side. So it's I'll send you some videos and that. Well, we went to Woody last week.
I did see that on LinkedIn, mate. Yeah, I saw that. They looked amazing.
And it's good because we've got the contract with our native title group is that this is how we've sort of strategically planned it, is with Consolidated Minerals, and BHP is that Cunderline Resources does the Section 18s heritage surveys. So basically, so it's sort of, we play that big part in our law and culture and the community as well as business as well, you know.
Yes.
So best of both worlds sort of thing. So
yeah, that's awesome.
and wherever we can, you know, and like I said, you never stop learning on both sides. So
And you know, you talk about culture and you know, and especially law and culture.
yeah.
Leading up to that in those communities, as Josh mentioned about traditional and other areas where you work, how do you go about, I suppose, employment? Work in those communities to find local employment and other local businesses to work with you.
Well, that's what, especially where I come from in the Pilbara, talking about politics, it's very political up there. And it's like that everywhere with every blackfellow, you know. And this is the talks that I do in business news and in a lot of conferences and that. It's just within the Indigenous community, and you know how political it can get, where you're not allowed to work here, you're not the traditional owner. Where we face that a lot now, and because we're
other Indigenous
community groups. Mick knows exactly what I'm talking about.
These conversations, these chats, is where I learn so much. I think it's amazing because
it helps you with your next podcast as well when other people talk about dealing with Indigenous businesses.
For sure.
And that.
For sure. Right. So,
All right.
Back to the deep breath, and then Mick, that's you number 10.
Okay, Brenden, your recent projects that you've been working on, which one are you particularly proud about, and what has made it a great success?
Well, probably the biggest one I'm proud about is our FMG contract that we've had. For the last, it's a 5-year contract. We've been out there 3 years now on our very first contract that we built, that 170 kilometre road. Their very first contract directly with FMG, and now we've gone back in for 5 years to maintain it. So that's probably our biggest. But the most one I'm like really excited about, and January we're going to be awarded this contract. So we've already been out at Yarrie. Yarrie is the 5-year, and you got projects at BHP, and then you got asset projects. So going into asset projects gives you that tier 1 status. So this is going to be the highlight of our journey with Cunderline so far. You know, being that tier 1 status and doing this contract. And it's,
Water?
Yeah, I'll grab one in a minute.
yeah. And it's, you know, and that's a decent size. So all the work and effort that we've put in to this is where we're going to be. So we've already been out there for a few years now, out at BHP, Yarrie. And what the best thing is that that's our traditional land. So we're going back there to do the rehab, or we've been out there doing the rehab on our own traditional land, rehabilitation, bringing it back to natural state, how it was. So that's probably the proudest moment.
Oh, that sounds great. That brings back all the fauna, all the
Bring back
fauna and flora, and you know.
And it's opportunity for other traditional owner businesses, you know, with the seed collecting and all that. Like we'll do all the we'll do all the big work, and then we can get a few other traditional owner businesses in to collect seeds and that. And it's only from September. It's only like 3 months you can collect the seeds in that season. So yeah, it's going to be, and then we're going to go get them to plant it all. So it's going to be open a lot of opportunities for a lot of traditional owner people.
Oh, that's great. Creating business within community for community people.
Yep.
That's excellent.
Yeah. What about innovation and sustainable growth in the? I want to know more about like the smaller communities that you know, as you're travelling through. Some of the smaller communities that Mick was telling me about that might have like, you know, 250 or 350. I think there was one 650 people.
Yep.
Right. Those smaller communities there, when you're going through their land or your land.
Yep.
How are you able to get those people to come on and work with you? Is there much?
So that's what we've waited for, because a decade ago, and this going back to my father, he started a training academy called the Pilbara Trading Academy, and that was when at Yarrie, where I've just won this big contract, where it was actually an active mine site, where they had the Pima Academy where they did the training course. And they brought everyone from all sorts of communities all to that one place, trained them up, and the success rate, I think, was about 95%.
And what are they training them in?
So training them in machines, training them up, but and as getting them in apprenticeships, plus with the camps, if they want to be chefs, if they want to be. So there's a certain diversity of what opportunities that they had. But back then, that's the idea now, but back then all they could do was drive machines, you know. So we're just trying to diversify and give. Not everyone wants to be a truck driver. Not everyone wants to be a mechanical fitter. Not everyone wants to be a chef. So we're sort of going to diversify and see how we do it next. So I've got my team in there at the moment doing that, or going off the existing plan that Barry and Ngada did back in the day. So just obviously moving with times and getting it up to speed.
Yeah, it'd be great to see more of our people working in the office space, you know, working behind the desks, doing stop, take, dot control. I mean, there's, you know, to make, you know, especially a new generation of people come through, like you said, not everyone wants to be a truck driver or an operator or, you know.
Is there roles available like that are going to guide someone towards an accounting degree? Is there
not as yet. Obviously, we've only been around like 8 years, but that's eventually one day where we hope to be. Because at the moment, we're still in that stage where we sort of need to prove ourselves to get to where we need to be to create opportunities like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, what do you got coming up in the coming years? What new initiatives have you got?
Well, new initiatives. So basically, we're going to focus on mobilising to this big asset project with BHP. That's our main focus at the moment. You know, but yeah, and just creating more opportunities and jobs for our people, and yeah, basically helping other emerging, starting businesses, Indigenous businesses that want to get off the ground. So, yeah, that's my goal.
The last one, you know, that's probably the last question we got for you today is if you could leave one message or a piece of advice for a young interpreter or leaders, Indigenous leaders, what would it be?
Have a go, do it yourself.
Give it a crack.
Give it a crack. Have a crack, because, I've just happen to give it a crack, and and back yourself. Just back yourself 100%, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Do you think getting good mentors on board is paramount?
Yeah. Also, getting right mentors, or not right mentors.
Getting it.
Getting
Aligning people with the right people.
Yeah, aligning people with the right people. Sorry. Yep.
Yep. And are there government grants available? Is there is the government doing to support an emerging Indigenous business or emerging Indigenous entrepreneurs, or what is there out there? Is there?
Well, every time we've always tried to get funding, it doesn't happen. So
takes too long.
It takes too long. You jump through hoop to hoop to hoop to get this information, that information, and it just goes nowhere. So
you haven't had any luck?
Nah, haven't.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yep. Well, mate, look, Brenden, thank you very much. That wraps up
No
our
worries.
questions for the day.
Absolutely.
You're a fantastic service provider.
Yeah, no
Mick,
worries.
Thanks very much once again for coming
Not a
in.
problem, buddy. Look forward to doing it again sometime. And thanks,
absolutely.
Brenden. I've learned so much more about Cunderline and
So have I.
about yourself. So
Yeah,
much
what an
appreciated.
awesome story. Awesome history, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for your time today too, guys.
Not a problem, mate.
Yep.
Well, guys, thanks very much once again for tuning in to another episode of The Gold Room. We've actually had it in the comments, and we've received some messages in our on LinkedIn and also on Instagram that who else are we going to get in for to assist with the co-hosting. So by all means, if you know someone that would do a great job, then please let us know in the comments. If you know another great mining service provider, also let us know. Cheers. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, mate.